In honor of Limb Difference Awareness Month, she is one of the leading ladies paving the way for inclusivity and representation. A self-proclaimed disabled fashion girly like myself, an entrepreneur who's built a community of hundreds of thousands of people who really care about making the world more inclusive. We love to see it. She's the founder of Disabled And, a platform that's all about changing the way we think about disability, representation and opportunity. Her mission, making sure disabled people aren't just included in the conversation, but lead in it. Oh, and casually she's also been named one of Forbes 30 under 30 content creators, so she's a pretty huge deal. I'm so very excited for this one. Hello everybody, welcome back to Tilly Talks Tech, the podcast where we talk about all things technology, design, innovation, and how technology is integrating into our everyday lives. As it is Limb Difference Awareness Month / Limb Loss Awareness Month as well, we are spotlighting the real change makers within that community. Today's guest is freaking amazing. Like, I actually love her so much. I'm her biggest fan. She's a self-proclaimed disabled fashion girly. Me too. We're talking fashion, disability, business, confidence, and of course, tech. Please welcome to the podcast, Miss April Lockhart. Hello April, welcome to Tilly Talks Tech. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I am so excited to finally meet you. How are you doing?
This feels so overdue. I'm stoked. I am doing great.
To get us into it, what does fashion mean to you?
I think fashion, I was just talking about this the other day actually with I went to the Paralympics a month ago and met another young girl. She was 19, Audrey Crowley, who also has a limb difference, like similar arm. And we were kind of talking about like, you know, having a limb difference with two different passions. Obviously she skis and I get dressed up for a living. And so I was like, I think fashion felt like something I could control when I couldn't control how people might perceive my limb difference. Like I could control an outfit that I loved or like something that I think would get people's attention or would help them perceive me in a certain light as like polished or chic or outgoing or wild or whatever like persona I wanted to exude that day. I could kind of control like what I looked like or what my outfit looked like when I couldn't maybe control how people would like stare at my arm or things like that.
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that because I basically like worded this in the exact same way. When you have like a limb difference, it's any visible difference really, particularly when it's a disability, it is unfortunately sometimes like the first thing people notice about you, and I feel like that's only unfortunate because it comes with a lot of assumptions. And you're so right, like picking your outfit for the day, like it is that deep. This is what I try to tell people because that is like the first creative decision you're making in the morning. Is something I heard recently. Yeah. But also you're so right, like I can choose to like look as flamboyant as possible, and in turn people are gonna look at that and think she's not shy about it, you know? Like, when was the moment that you realized like you could take that power back through fashion?
I guess I started posting my outfits and my limb difference for the first time in like 2021. So it's been, I guess, 5 years now, 21 or 22, 4 or 5 years now. And, you know, I'm sure you can resonate with this too. Like, I feel like you go through different phases of like comfort and like being comfortable and then like it resetting when you're in a new setting. So like new school, new friends, like everything new. I feel like I would always resort back to like being insecure and kind of like trying to hide what I could. And so of course, like there were different phases of life where like I showed my arm. I didn't hide my arm like my entire life always, but it felt like now is like the first point in my life, or 5 years ago is the first point in my life where I really started like in every aspect being like open and confident. Yeah, I had seen, you know, people doing a lot of outfit series, like 30 days of winter outfits, day one of, or, you know, day 3 of whatever. I'm very much like a person that believes in like everything happens for a reason. And at that point, it had been years of me like not showing my limb difference online, like just positioning myself in certain ways. Like
I've been there.
Yeah, like just, and I think that's the scary part of what we can control online is like you could hide something that big about yourself. And I see girls do it all the time. Like girls will follow me and be like, oh my God, I have a limb difference too. And I'm like trying to find it in the photo. And I'm like,
yeah,
it's hard to see. Like, you really would never know. So for the first time, I had started this series called Normalizing Disabled Fashion Girlies maybe 4 or 5 years ago now, and just did like basically my outfits and like how I zipped certain things or how I buttoned buttons and like kind of highlighting like all the unique ways that I get dressed. That I think was like the turning point for me.
Yeah, and I love that like phrase that you've kind of coined, like disabled fashion girly. And I have seen like other girls get on there and being like normalizing disabled fashion girlies on your
Yeah.
feed. And it's like period, because we
Yeah.
could be fashionable too. And I fully have seen that movement, which I just think is so cool. You mentioned like you show people how you like get dressed and do certain things in like a little bit of a different way. How did you discover to do that? And what's been the response to like other girls who are also them different seeing that?
I mean, it's my own way of being adaptive. I'm sure you have so many of your own ways of being adaptive too. Like, I don't really shop adaptive like clothing. I'm still looking for brands that I resonate with that are also adaptive because I feel like for a
Mm.
while it's felt like adaptive brands are very like sterile or not my style. And at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's like I am a fashion girl, so I will always sacrifice function for fashion. Like I will
Yeah.
do whatever it takes, like whether it's getting a friend to help me button, my mom, my husband, like somebody to put something crazy on me. Like,
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Literally, like, first time I got some acrylic nails done, me and my friend, like, literally just got so excited. We were like, I've never had nails before. Like, yeah, hell yeah, let's just make them huge. So the first time we did them, they were
yeah,
like, here, came in to, like, show the CEO and things. They were like, is that gonna, are you gonna be able to use them? And I was like, but they look cute, right?
I saw your video. They look so cute.
Thank you. Thank you. Do get what you're saying about like the adaptive things. Like sometimes it feels like we are gonna pick adaptive or we're gonna pick cute and chic. And I would
Yeah.
love to see that intertwine a little bit more. How do you see like adaptive fashion brands and like adaptive fashion in general sort of like evolving in the next sort of like 10 years or so? What would you like to see?
I think just seeing like brands that already exist like start to think about their pieces a bit more universally. Like there are so many pieces that I have. There are features of normal design that are inherently inclusive, like,
Mm.
wider necklines or Velcro or magnets, like things that already exist too. I think even zippers like can be pretty adaptive versus like buttons are hard, like, but these features are like helpful for everyone. I think that's the part that we're all sort of coming around to now is like adaptive or inclusive or universal is really for everyone. It's like, as we age too, like our normal hands, like, people get arthritis or like just have less mobility, like things become harder. So all of these features, like a dress that I could slip on over my head is like easy for me. It's easy for my mom. It's easy for my friend who has zero disability, who's totally able-bodied. Like it's just picking features that are more universal. So I think that's like the way I see it going. And we'll see if like adaptive brands, like inherently like fully adaptive brands ever like break through. I think it's like at the end of the day, like they always have to lead with the design and fashion of it, like the
Mhm.
style.
Yeah.
And then I feel like there are some of these brands now that are starting to be like that's like a byline. I don't think it can be like the headline. And maybe that's
Mm.
like a hot take, but I think it's like it has to be a cool brand, and then part of like their ethos is like
Mhm.
we design products that are universal.
Yeah, and it's like it's so true. Like even if it's not adaptive fashion, I feel like we as fashion girly individuals, like we adapt ourselves to be able to wear the pieces because it's like I don't want to sacrifice wearing that beautiful ball gown with like a corset tie up, which is going to be a nightmare to do just because, I'm missing the hands to be able to do it. Like we really do find our way around that. But you're so right. Like it's like a larger population that would benefit from clothing being a bit easier. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? In terms of like fashion and like runways, like fashion week, and like the representation we see on catwalks, or sometimes we don't see on catwalks, do you think the fashion industry is moving forward at all with disability representation, or do you think it's still like surface level?
I'm sure you also have plenty of friends in this space. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think the resounding feedback from my friends in the disability community are that like we've kind of gone backwards a bit the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in 2022, 2023, when there was this like demand for inclusion, I think brands started to show up and started to include. This is not to say all brands, because I think there are still a lot of brands that are moving forward, but I think in general, especially in high fashion, like right now there's this kind of like unfortunate backtrack to like 90s skinny talk, like heroin chic, and people are like, there's so many people that now are on like GLP-1s that are getting like frighteningly thin. And so I think along with that, it's just like it's starting to feel like a less inclusive industry in like high fashion. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think I have hopes that like we turn it around, because I think there's such a love when people see themselves represented. And I think
Yeah.
there's certain places that have started to like demand this a bit more. Even Victoria's Secret, I think like their last show, like it was not perfect by any means, and unfortunately there was no disability representation, but I do think like size inclusive wise, like we've started to see them like really become more inclusive.
Yeah.
But in terms of disability, yeah, I feel like there's still a ways to go. And now it's like, just because people aren't screaming it, like the brands feel like there's like less pressure maybe. And my approach is never like cancel culture and never like pressuring brands, but
Mm-hmm.
of course it's disappointing, and we want to see more of it.
Yeah, like how amazing would that be to see like a limb different body like walking down the catwalk? I think that would be so
Yeah.
epic. There's at least like 10 girls I feel like on social media who I'm like, I could see them walking that catwalk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like the more that we're all posting about it, it's like getting that out there, letting people see the vision, because it's not difficult to see.
Yeah, and it's been cool. I've gone to Copenhagen Fashion Week twice now. And both times I've seen limb different models, two different models that I was like not even following, like didn't even were not even on my radar, which was so cool to see. And it was cool to see like season after season, like that they were both in shows. So that was pretty cool. That's the only like international fashion week that I've seen that at.
Yeah, I think I saw that on your social media as well, and like that got me so excited. Like all
Yeah.
all all forms of visible differences as well. Like I've been seeing that at like Paris
Yeah.
Fashion Week, but yeah, like I feel like something like London, like in England and
Mhm.
other things like that, we kind of reached a peak and it's come back down again. But we wanna keep up, because everybody deserves
Yeah.
to see themselves rocking it, and people do rock it. So give them the platform. Do you know what I mean? I feel like for me, my two interests are like fashion and technology. And I feel like what technology didn't have a lot of was expression. Like it was very black and white, it was very function over fashion, which is what we were talking
Yeah.
about earlier. Where do you see technology fitting into fashion in particular?
Yeah, I don't know. You probably know a lot more about tech than I do. I know that there's a lot of accessibility features with like Apple product design wise. I mean, I haven't worn prosthetics since I was a kid, but it has been cool to see. I mean, like I'm looking at the wall behind you. Like I feel like you've cracked the code on like design and technology.
It's so fun. Even when you're just covering it in glitter. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that unlocked so much, because you probably experienced it too. Like as far as like prosthetics are concerned, like my introduction to like technology at all was like, here's a glove, cover it up.
Yeah.
So like to see that narrative like turn around now, where you cover it in glitter, or you see people who are like painting their wheelchairs and stuff like
Yes.
that. that in terms of like design and like the technology that actually helps people physically, yes, but also like mentally, because you can dress it up and have it accentuate your identity like that, is something that
Yeah.
I'm really interested in. And you said you don't wear prosthetics, which is so fair. You know, everybody, I always preach just that people should have a choice. Is there anything that you think prosthetic or technology companies would do more of? Like, is there anything that you think you would see and be like, damn, I would like love to try that?
It's a good question. I feel like at 30, I just turned 30 last year, like it's hard for me to think about like trying a prosthetic at this point. Just it's interesting seeing like, you know, when I was a kid, I wore them maybe like age 3 to 7 or something like that. I can't remember the exact age I stopped, but like it did look so different. And I wore one that was like cosmetic, so it like
Yeah.
looked like skin, but did not look like real skin, you know? And so I think like I thought by now maybe we would have evolved a bit further, like into things that like really look so real.
Would you want them to be like really realistic and like
I
that?
don't know. I think like I get I don't know what I guess I would want, but I've never like gravitated towards it, but I also think like it is so cool to see like, you know, like your arms are like amazing and so like cool, and I think that like highlights it in a way that kind of like probably takes the power back.
Yeah, for me it was like that big mental sort of hurdle of like being told,
Yeah.
given a glove before anything, and just being like, we're like, oh, what does it do? And they were like, oh no, you just stick it on the end to make it look more normal in public. Like that is generally the
Yeah.
response you get. And when your like frontal lobe is developing and this is what you're being told, it's like, ah, like it
Yeah.
makes you want to scream, you know? So like that's kind of
Yeah.
been like my angle into fashion, things like that. It's like I'm gonna take this thing that people have told me I need to basically hide and make that like
Yeah.
the focal point of the fit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's sort of been my thing.
Yeah. And there's this really cool like designer that I just stumbled upon called Destiny Pinto. Have you seen
Yes,
her?
I know her. I do know her. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, like she obviously she doesn't do prosthetics, but she does like ostomy bags and purses. But her stuff is so cool too. Like I think, you know, designing things in a really fashionable way is like something we haven't had.
Yeah. It's like designing it in a fashionable way. It's also adaptive. It's also like changing these people's lives because, you know, they
Yeah.
feel empowered to wear it rather than, oh, this is this thing and it's so defining. Like I always say, let's not only like embrace it, but accentuate it because
Yeah.
like it's that beautiful difference about you. Do you kind of like, do you try and like wear things that allow your limb difference to stand out, or is it very much more about the fashion? Because I feel like that's another conversation where it's like sometimes you just want to wear a cool outfit and you don't want your limb difference to be like the thing that's making people go like wow, like you just have a cool style. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
is that ever something that's been present in your life where you're like, I wish we could just talk about outfit?
Yeah, I think I definitely am more mindful about showing it now. Also, it's like part of my platform. But I think I've just like become more used to like, you know, especially if I'm doing an event for disabled and or something, like especially if I'm going to be around kids, like I try to purposefully wear like short sleeves or, you know, or sleeveless or something, or like make sure my sleeve is rolled. Like now I'm so much more comfortable, and I also like think it's super important that they see that I'm more comfortable or comfortable period, so that they feel comfortable.
One thing that I love from you is disabled and you mentioned it there. Let's talk about that. How did that concept come about? How did the name, I love the name of it. Like tell me all
Thank
about that.
you. Yeah, so my background before content creation is working in the beauty industry. I was doing influencer marketing, so basically the exact opposite of what I'm doing now. I was, you know, building briefs for influencers, hosting events for new product launches, like gathering lists of influencers, and then, you know, I started creating at the same time that I was working full time, and eventually this became more than my full-time job. And so I was faced with a decision, like, and my old boss told me to, like, it's always better to like build your own dream than building someone else's. And I was at that point where I'm like, okay, I could build my own dream or I could continue building someone else's dream, which I loved, but
Yeah.
of course, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had to choose myself at the end of the day. So all of a sudden overnight, I'm sure you can relate, like this is a super isolating job. You're like filming, talking to a camera all day
Yeah.
and no one's actually around.
Hmm.
And so I was missing that hosting aspect. And, as I started getting involved in the disability community, really for the first time in my life, like I was not friends with people with disabilities when I was younger. Like I just didn't have those rooms. 3 years ago now was like the first time, maybe 2 years ago even, was the first time that I was around a room of other people with disabilities, and gave me this itch to like host more. And I was like, well, I can use my hosting background. I know how to do events. I know how to do dinner parties. And I can just invite this community, which I've built online, but did not have in person.
Hmm.
And so I had people following me that were like, I would love to like be friends. And I was like, me too, like, let's get together. And so I was like, am I going to start a nonprofit? Like, I just immediately jumped to like big ideas and like, should I start, doing these big conferences for people or something? And my friends were like, why don't you just like slow down? And I was like, okay, good idea. And so I just started hosting dinner parties for women with disabilities. I had hosted a couple events for young girls with limb difference. So I did that for about a year, just under my own name, like funding the events, self-funding them ourselves. Like whenever I could try to get brands involved from my content creation job, like I would. And so it kind of got to a point where it felt bigger than me. People were like, how can we hear about these? Like, where can we sign up? We want to come to these. And I was like, I want you to come. So finally I was like, it needs to be like live beyond me and really be its own community. And so, yeah, last July we launched. And really it's a community for disabled creatives. And I say creative because I think there's a lot of organizations out there that cater to athletics in the disability
Yeah.
space, like helping kids do sports or find them running legs or arms that will help with gymnastics. And I was never really a sporty kid.
No, neither.
I always connected towards like music and art and obviously fashion. And so just creating these like intimate moments for people to connect. And, there's so many women our age, like 20s, 30s, 40s, that are in creative industries, whether they're graphic designers or musicians or models, or aspiring content creators, entrepreneurs, like, bringing those people together, that we all have these common interests, and just like allowing a space to chat, connect. So yeah, so it really is like disabled and is pretty much me. And we do events like whenever we have the bandwidth to. Like right now we're working on a big event for Limb Difference Awareness Month in April in Nashville. It's our first like full weekend. So I'm super excited about that. And I guess the name came from spitballing one night with a friend of like, there's so many cringy names in the disability space. And I think we've all sort of like come around to reclaiming the word disabled. It's like you're type A or you're tall or you have brown hair. Like it just is.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing. It's not a shame. Like it really just is. Like I am disabled. Like I have brown hair and brown eyes and I am 5 foot. And so, yeah, I was just thinking like, is it disabled and fashionable, disabled and creative, disabled and cool? And I was like, what if it's just disabled and allows people to like fill in their own blank? So that's where the name
Yeah.
came from.
I love that, because having a disability all your life, it's like we were saying at the start, like why we make the fashion choices that we do is because you're immediately seen as disabled, and that's it,
Yeah.
But now there's like, yeah, okay, with that and all of this, like it's so straight to the
Yeah.
point. It's like perfectly named. Interested to know, like, with all the ways people are filling that blank, if there's been any that's like stuck out to you, has been really meaningful, or has been like just fabulous, and you're just like, hell yeah, like how have other people been filling that blank?
Yeah. I mean, it's just cool to see like what everyone does. One girl who I'm sure you've seen online that we'll have at our weekend is Sydney Mesher. She's like the first Rockette with a visible disability. She has a limb
Yeah.
difference as well. So that was a cool one. And I think just like, I personally resonate with like disabled and ambitious. Like I love seeing entrepreneurs in this community just build new businesses. And yeah, it's really cool to see. And I think like, what's also really meaningful is like we have this bubble of women with disabilities from all walks of life, but then we also have like this bubble of parents of like kids with disabilities that are just
Yeah.
like I almost think sometimes like that group wants community even more, you know, like they're just like,
Yeah.
I think like of course there's like nothing stronger probably than a parent's love for their kids, and like they I feel like are just as excited. So that's cool to see too. Yeah, it's pretty special.
Yeah, I imagine, like, seriously, every time you post about this, or if it's an event in America that I can't get to, I'm like, the FOMO is so real. You're gonna have to,
We need
like,
to do something.
just, like, stick me on, like, a little TV screen or something.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, growing up, I was big into art and stuff as well, like going to stage school, did drama, did dance,
Yeah.
did all of that fun stuff. And yeah, you're right. Like there was a lot out there for sports. Like I remember being like thrust into all these sporting activities and being like, give it a go. And I was like, quite frankly, guys, thank you, but I don't want to. Like this isn't my area at all.
So
So I think that's so cool to have like just a creative like outlet where just cool creative girlies get together, fashion girlies get together and like bounce off ideas and hype each other up. Disabled
so
and
cool.
I have to get there at one point. I need to join the
Yeah.
function. Where do you see this sort of platform progressing? Like what is the end sort of goal? I feel like there's not really an end, it's a consistent thing, but let me know.
Yeah. I think I have ideas for sure, but also I'm such a like day by day, month by month person. Sometimes it's hard
Yeah.
for me to like pick my head up and think like what is the 5-year vision? But I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of potential for it to turn into like some kind of multimedia platform. Like I think the community is so special and valuable, and honestly it's grown so much faster than I like would have thought. I think like I thought we were going to launch and have like 600 followers on Instagram. Like we just surpassed 20K. And with pretty much like little to no effort. I mean, we put a lot of effort into the launch, and like we did this incredible launch shoot, which I'm so proud of, with like an incredible cast who's my friends, and you know, website and like the first few events. And now it's just like event by event, like what we can do. And we're obviously putting so much into this full weekend because it's our first like biggest
Mm-hmm.
itinerary. And then from there, like it continued dinner parties, like eventually long term, I'd love to do like a bigger, like, you know, summit or conference or something for like women our age. And then, you know, who knows, like,
Yeah, I mean, it's so exciting. And like I said, I feel like it's like it feels quite niche, but like we are that niche, you know, like we still exist just because it's like a minority. I think it's so cool and I definitely can't wait for it to grow. You know, if you're ever doing one in England or whenever I'm in
say
America, I know who I'm messaging first.
yes, please.
It is Limb Difference Awareness Month. I want to know, how are
Yeah.
you celebrating? I know you got this epic event coming up. Talk to me about that. What is going to be happening at this crazy event in Nashville, which I really want to be at?
I know. Everybody will come in. It'll be Friday to Sunday. Friday night, we have this amazing, like, summer Italian Riviera themed dinner. We're working with a brand, Brahmi. It's like a pasta brand. So we're super
Fun.
excited about that summer Tennessee dinner party for parents and the kid. That night, we'll make pasta necklaces and have some other like fun surprises. And I think something that was really important for me throughout the weekend is having like older girls or women with limb differences too, like placed throughout. So a good friend of mine here, Ryan Page, she's going to be singing. She's a musician. So she'll be like doing a performance Friday night, which I'm super excited about. And then Saturday, there's this picnic that a local organization, which I love, Jordan Thomas Foundation, they're based here in Tennessee, and they also help fund prosthetics for like underinsured families. So we're kind of like hitching on to their picnic, partnering with them to make Saturday like our big focal day. So that will actually be co-ed. And Saturday night, I've always wanted to do like a breakout dinner for parents. My vision is like, I wanted to give them like a really elevated dinner, like parents' night off, where they can feel like they can have a great dinner, have a drink, like unwind, and then also ask each other questions and like share experiences and kind of feel like they're off and just can be real with each other, because I think there's so much value in, you know, what the parents have to share with each other and what their other kids are going through. And then, you know, we'll have the girls nearby having like girls' night in, sleepover vibes. We're doing a bedazzle bar. So very Y2K, which they'll have no idea what Y2K is because they're all like kids. But it'll be great. And then the next morning is the dance class with Sydney Mesher, who's the Rockette. And then we'll have like kind of farewell breakfast and people will go out on their own, but we're super excited.
Oh my God, I love that. That actually sounds like the best weekend ever. That
I hope
sounds so
so.
good. Is that like a ticketed thing, or could like anybody come?
It's a ticketed thing, but we also have sponsored tickets. So thankfully, like one of the brands that I work with, shout out to Nivea. I'm sure you have Nivea also in the UK, has like super generously donated some tickets. So we have some, if families like can't make it, we have some sponsored tickets. So yeah, we have a few more left and would love to like have people be able to come.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. People need to swipe them up now before I decide I'm gonna fly to Nashville and take the last
Yes.
couple. Literally. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I've had so much fun. Last little bonus question. In honor of Limb Difference Awareness Month, if anybody is listening who, is limb different and are in one of those phases of life where they are rolling down their sleeves and they maybe don't see themselves fitting in where they want to be, what advice would you give to somebody who's feeling like, they don't belong in this space where their heart is like saying, I really want to be in this space though?
Yeah, I think my life opened up when I started showing my arm. And so I think just like on the other side of a really hard, uncomfortable phase is like so much joy and peace and safety. And I think also finding the right people. Like I think I was so resistant to find community and be friends with other people who had limb differences that that held me back for a long time. And so I think embracing those people, especially in person, like leaning into it, made me so much more comfortable. Like that really, like I took that to heart. And that's been the biggest thing, is like finding people in person and knowing that like on the other side of insecurity is like a whole world of opportunities.
Yeah, I love that. For anybody who is listening to this and thinks you're as amazing as I do, where can we follow you on social media? Where can we find Disabled? And how do we keep up to date with what's going on in April's world?
Pretty much April Lockhart on all platforms. And yeah, Disabled And on Instagram. Our website is also disabled.and.com. It's pretty straightforward.
Guys, you have to follow her. She is so fun. And like even before I followed you, you're like all over my For You page all the time, which I'm just like so good to see. I love it. Thank you so much, April. I wish you all the best of luck in your planning for this event coming up very, very soon. I hope it all goes amazingly well, and I can't wait to watch it all unfold on the internet until I get there in person.
Me too. Thank you, Tilly. This was great.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Oh my goodness, she is so fab. What a person to get on during Limb Difference Awareness Month, or any month for that matter. Like, she's an icon, but I just think what she's doing is like so inspiring. Like, she's literally created this whole community which like legit never existed. Like, creative, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I really, like she said, I feel like there was a lot to do with sports and less for creative people. Arts and crafts, glitter and pens, and bit of music. That is my lane. Definitely go check out April and Disabled. And thank you so much for listening to this episode of Tilly Talks Tech. I really do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. Let me know who else we need to get on. It is Limb Difference Awareness Month, so we're spotlighting these amazing people right now. We'll also be getting back to more techie tools and stuff like that in the future. So yeah, anything you like, leave it down below and I will get on that. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. And happy Limb Difference Awareness Month.